Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's Natha Perkins from Astrology. Here we are about to begin a whole new year, and we are talking more about power dynamics, how to find the power, how to access your power. This is woven through so many of the different planetary energies that we work with here. And we are continuing our conversation on Pallas Athena. Now, we know that Mars and Pallas Athena are the warrior energies in your chart, but we also know that Mars energy can be a little difficult to wield. Some of us have been totally trained out of our Mars. We learned that it was not okay to say no, that it was not okay to be angry, that if we showed too much force or threw too big of a tantrum, we were going to get ostracized or we were going to get punished. For those of us that are relating to our Mars energy like that, Pallas Athena is a really beautiful counterpoint because Pallas Athena enables us to be very powerful, but in a very strategic, almost subtle way that can be a little bit easier to practice with. So we don't have to go straight into, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble because I asserted a boundary, and more into, ooh, I just made a boundary and they respected it and they're not even mad at me. And I think that can be really beneficial for a lot of us. And then there's also a whole other contingent of us that maybe use our Mars energy a little too liberally. We're yelling at people, we're screaming at them, we're demanding that we get what we want, we're slamming doors, we are totally boundaried up. And what we find when we're those kind of people is that most people don't relate to us very well. They don't like that. They will either fight back with us, and then it will just cause a very big mess that is hard to solve, or they just back away from us. They don't want to be around us, and they have a lot to say behind our back. So, we're going to be talking about Mars a lot when we move into Aries season, which will be soon. But until then, what we're really looking at right now is how to be almost the most powerful warrior by using the more feminine aspect of our Pallas Athena. So we're going to get into that. Before we do, if you are listening to me on the podcast, Star Narratives, hello, welcome. This talk will be followed by an astrological forecast. And if you are watching me on YouTube, hi, the astrological forecast will be released Mondays. I'm also repurposing all of my season 5 talks. I went through every single sun sign on Star Narratives. I'm repurposing them, editing them, and bringing them to YouTube as a standalone series because these teachings are really valuable, and I get so much good feedback from people about how these teachings are helping them to see themselves more clearly, and that's the whole point. That is exactly why I'm here giving you this information for free, because I feel that the more of us that deeply understand ourselves and our psyches and the inner workings of our mind and our spirit, that there are more of us that will be healing. And as we're transforming in such big and powerful evolutionary ways right now, we need more of us to be healed. So make sure to spread the word. If you like what you're hearing, like, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you like my style and you would like to work with me privately, you can find me at electroastrology.com. I offer private readings, many different versions of private readings too. I also offer mentorships and apprenticeships. So I invite you to come find me there, and let's get started. So I was thinking a lot about Pallas Athena. As you've heard me say, when we're working with asteroids, they aren't always as loud, or I should say, as consistently weighty as the planets are. We will notice that the asteroids will become very loud in our lives when there's something going on in the background that is helping us to tune into that asteroid energy to use it. Today, we're talking about how Pallas Athena is the feminine warrior. We talked last week about the myth and how Pallas Athena came to be and what she signifies. If you missed that episode, make sure to check it out. Today, we're going to go into this idea of using wisdom over force. And I will say that as I'm talking about Pallas Athena, because this is an archetype that is so connected to the fine line between masculine and feminine, that I want to just give a caveat and say, listen, I know some women are more masculine in nature, and I know that some men are more feminine in nature. I know some women are more feminine in nature and some men are more masculine in nature. So I'm just going to assume that you guys can use your imagination and make my metaphors fit for whatever it is that you believe to be true about yourself and about other people. But I will say that in many relationships, especially if there is a strong masculine feminine polarity, that there will be certain tasks that the female just doesn't ever think about doing. Maybe mowing the lawn, maybe changing the oil in the car. And then there will be certain tasks that the masculine never considers doing, like vacuuming or cleaning the toilet. So, when we're looking at this idea of how we are navigating our lives and the things that we're comfortable doing, one of the things that comes up when we're talking about Pallas Athena is the times when you are pushed out of your comfort zone, where you are actually pushed into doing something that might be considered, if you're a female, more masculine in nature, and might in fact be something that you have never done. A lot of times I will look at the Pallas Athena in somebody's chart when they are going through a divorce, for example, or their spouse or their partner is sick, and suddenly the load of the entire household falls onto their shoulders. And oftentimes, when that happens, Pallas Athena in the chart is getting a transit by a planet in the sky. And I think that what this does, and so this could stand to be true for anybody when we're talking about how does Pallas Athena show up for you in this respect? And this is through the angle of looking at Pallas Athena as strategic. And you have to really get in and understand how to get things done, even if you are unfamiliar with them, even if you don't know how to do them. Maybe you're not physically strong enough to do them. And so back to my example, if the person that has always changed the window wipers in your car is gone, you have to figure out how to do that. And that is going to take some strategy. You may not be able to intuit exactly what needs to happen, but you can employ your brain. You can use your wisdom and insight in determining who to ask or where to go for help. Sometimes we are going to be faced with situations where we physically aren't strong enough to be able to fix the problem. And that is when we have to get in and use our Pallas Athena intelligence to figure out, how am I going to do this? Who am I going to bring in to help me? How am I going to make this work? And so with Pallas Athena, we aren't able to yell and scream. We aren't able to say, no, I'm not going to do that. We are not able to physically go to battle with these problems, these responsibilities, these tasks that come across our desk. And so that is where we look at the Pallas Athena in our chart and we say, well, what are my skill sets here? So I'm not going to go through every single sign of Pallas Athena, but you can certainly do some Googling on that. If you want to find the Pallas Athena in your own chart, you'll have to go to a website like astro.com. And if you are in astro.com, you will have to use the extended chart selection to find that asteroid. So Pallas Athena helps us figure out unique ways to solve problems that feel really big, that are out of our comfort zone. It reminds me of a situation that I had where I had broken up with a partner who in the past might have handled this problem, the air in the tires. And I remember putting this task off for so long, thinking, I don't know how to put air in tires. I don't know how to do this. I don't even know where to start. And I finally said, okay, I'm going to figure this out. So I Googled it and it was very simple. I took myself to the gas station, filled up the tires, and I remember afterward thinking, I spent so much time and energy avoiding that problem. It took me so much more effort to not solve the problem. And when I finally decided to solve the problem, it happened in a matter of moments. And I think that that's something that we can all consider when we're looking at the big looming issues in our lives, the things that we think, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to get my oil changed. I don't know how to fill up my tires. I don't know how to change my smoke alarms, etc. And we get trapped. We become frozen and we think, I don't have what it takes to solve this problem. This isn't in my wheelhouse. Nobody ever taught me this. And that is the prime time to tune into your Pallas Athena in your chart. So take a few deep breaths and just notice how it is feeling in your body as we're talking about this topic. And I want you to think about a looming problem, an issue that you've been putting off. Maybe you feel like you don't know what to do, or that log is too heavy to pull out of the yard. I don't know what to do with that big pile of stone. The furnace is making a strange noise. I don't know what to do. Right? So just think about anything in your life that is one of those things. I don't have the physical strength. I don't have the training. I have no idea where to even start solving this problem, and I don't have anybody that I can call to solve it for me. So let an example come into your mind and just observe it. The first answer that comes to your mind, how do you go about solving this problem? How do you begin with the solution? But know that the sign that your Pallas Athena falls in is going to be very indicative of how you will move forward into solving your problems. And remember, these are the problems that can't be solved through emotional reactivity, force, or anger. These are the problems that really must be solved through strategy, insight, and calm observation. So as we are giving some calm observation to one of the problems that we would rather not deal with, and by the way, this doesn't have to just be masculine, feminine problems. These could be problems like, I need to call a lawyer and get some paperwork done. I need to get my taxes together and hire somebody to do my taxes for me. It's the places where we go into being frozen because we don't know what to do. These are the places that Pallas Athena can really help solve the problem. Unlike Mars, right? What are you going to do? Let's just hypothesize that you are not good at doing your taxes. Maybe you haven't done your taxes in a year or two, and you're kind of freaking out. What am I going to do? But instead of solving the problem, you've just sat on the problem and you just keep pushing it to the back of your mind. Well, Mars energy is not going to help. You certainly can't call somebody up and yell at them. You can't demand that somebody solve the problem. But what you can do is you can say, if I'm using my brain, my mind, my insight, my strategy, I am going to first ask a friend if they have anybody that they can refer me to. And then I'm actually going to get on the phone and call that person and make an appointment. And then I'm going to bring my papers to them and I'm going to allow them to help me solve my problem. That's the Pallas Athena energy. And as we are moving into 2025, and if you're listening to this into the future, you can think back to what was going on for you in 2025, knowing that we're moving into a new year that is slated to be pretty wild astrologically. And I am going to release a 2025 astrology talk next week, so look for that. But as we approach this upcoming year, it's incredibly important that we are grounded and centered in our power, that we are proactive about solving our things, that we are not putting problems on the back burner to simmer for days, weeks, months. That is not good use of our Pallas Athena. That is really squelching her energy. So if you think about all of these archetypes, they're all tools that reside within us. And sometimes we ignore the tools and we don't want to use them. And then what? Then it's like we're missing a key thing. It's like we don't have the right screwdriver in our toolkit. So we're trying to use a butter knife instead of a screwdriver, but we might as well really understand these archetypes so that we can use them. And Pallas Athena is such premier wisdom. Here's how to really take charge. And here's how to do it in quiet, determined, powerful ways that just gets the job done. You don't have to upset anybody. You don't have to get into arguments with your Pallas Athena energy. You just put your mind to it. You dedicate yourself to figuring it out on the fly even though it's not in your comfort zone, it's not in your wheelhouse. But when you do finally do it, there's that sense of being so strong and so powerful and knowing, oh, I don't have to be scared of that thing anymore. I can put air in my tires. I can do my taxes. I can hire movers to come move that super heavy bed out of my bedroom. It gives us the freedom to make things happen in our lives without sitting back and feeling like we have to be diminished and small and tiny and powerless. So I encourage you to play around with this energy over the next week, the part of you that strategizes. How am I going to make this work? How am I going to do this thing in a way that is bold and powerful and fierce? All right. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you all next week.